All right, guys, this is an easy one. All right, Silas, tell me when you're ready.
Now, what would I plug into the instance of sine x and then cosine x? Would that be up here?
All right, remember, if it's cosine or sine, it doesn't matter if it's cosine squared or sine squared. You don't switch it out. You leave it. Everything else is what you look on your sheet and change it out. So now watch, Silas. I got a sine on top and a sine on bottom. So I cross one out on top and one of these out on the bottom because sine squared means I've got two of them. So my answer, I've got cosine left on top. I've got sine left on bottom. So what we're trying to do, Silas, is get this simplified down to one word. Connor, look on your sheet for me. What does cosine over sine change into? Now, everybody should be able to look at the top of your paper. Cosine over sine should be one of our functions. Cotangent? All right, that's how you do it. You're going to have a lot of them like that on the test that I feel like are very fair that y'all can get right. You guys should be able to get that right by Friday.
I understand it a little bit.
All right, let's go to 3. Everybody good on this one?
Hold on just a second.
All right, 3 is it might be the easiest one on the test. Look at it. If you've been here all week, you should be able to do it. Now, Silas might not can do it. Sine x, secant x, cotangent x. All right, first thing, Silas, we got to do is figure out which ones we got to change. All right, so do I change the first one, Silas? It's already sine. It's good. Remember, you don't change it if it's sine or cosine. What do I change secant into? Look at the top of your sheet.
Secant would go to, where's secant?
Right here.
Okay, and go to cosine.
1 over cosine. Did you find that?
I found that.
Okay. Now I got to show you cotangent and tangent on the sheet. Cotangent, we're going to use that. Cosine over sine. 20. Oh, I'm sorry. Here you go, Grace. All right, so cotangent's cosine over sine. Connor, you good so far? All right, what can we cross out? Cross out the cosines. What else can we cross out? So look, Silas, everything on this one canceled out. Answer's 1. You got a question?
No, it's just kind of.
Oh yeah, this is definitely, I think this is the hardest thing we do all year.
I got cosecant.
All right, well look, I crossed these 2 sines out, Blake, and I crossed these 2 cosines out, so there's nothing left but 1.
I crossed out the ones and the cosines and got one.
Now look. Now I understand there's a 1 under that, but guys, even if you cross out the 1s, if everything crosses out, your answer's still 1. Because what's sine divided by sine? It's 1. So when everything cancels out, Silas, just write a 1. And you're going to get a couple answers out of 1. All right, let's go to 4. All right, number 4. Secant squared x minus 1 over secant x. All right, like I was saying a minute ago, Connor, anytime you got something squared and a plus 1 or minus 1, that's probably going to be a formula. It's what? All right, tangent. Silas, you good? If you don't see where we got that from, let me know and I'll show
I
you.
don't see where you got that from.
All right, it should be a formula if it's something squared plus 1 or minus 1, and it was secant squared minus 1, so yes, it's
Okay, so
tangent.
we look back here.
Yeah.
And, all right.
Yeah, hey, Silas, right here's where everything that's squared is in this
I
little
was looking
section.
on the wrong side of this sign.
We're only going to look on this section, Silas, or the top. That's all you got to look at. All right, so now, Silas, let's follow our rules. Our rules say if it's not cosine or sine, we got to change it. So I got to show Silas this. Silas, do you see on your sheet where it says tan x is sine over cosine? It's at the top. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what it doesn't show you, if it's tan squared, then that's a sine squared over cosine squared. That's something you just got to know. All right, so what do I change the top into? Sine squared over cosine squared. All right, Silas, what do I change the bottom into? Secant squared.
Secant squared.
Look at the top.
1 over cosine.
Very good. So it'll be 1 over cosine squared, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Write that down. Guys, I don't have any answers on these. I don't have an answer sheet.
I didn't even get that
Yes,
far in
we are.
some.
Oh no, don't change the bottom if it's already one word. Only change it when it's.
I thought we changed everything.
Yeah,
but
but secant, alright, look, secant is 1 over cosine, secant squared is 1 over cosine squared. That's why I changed it to 1 over cosine squared. Because remember the other rule, you gotta change everything into cosines and sines. That's what we're trying to do. Alright, so Silas, last step. We got a fraction divided by a fraction, so we have to do keep, change, flip. We're gonna flip the bottom one. 1 over cosine, I flip it, becomes cosine squared over 1. Alright, and all this is gone. So now, Silas, what can I cancel out?
Cosines,
Alright, what's my answer?
would it be
Sine squared over 1, which is just sine squared. You just leave it. We're just trying to get it down to one word. Again, these first 4 problems I've shown y'all are very fair problems to have on a test. These are all problems we should get right.
Do we have to write the x under the tangent, secant, sine, all that stuff?
Say it again.
Do you have to write the x every time?
Nah, I'm good if you don't. I mean, I understand what you mean. As long as, if it's square now, you need to write sine squared.
I'm just thinking about an x.
You flip
I'm not worried about you.
cosine and
Alright, I did keep, change, flip, Blake. The bottom was 1 over cosine squared. So we flip that to cosine squared over 1, then you see what you can cross out. Now guys, look, number 5 looks a lot like number 4 to me. What if you got 1 on top?
1 over sine.
Okay, is that your final answer?
On number 5.
Well, if it is your final answer, go up here and find which one's 1 over sine, and it's right there. So it's cosecant. So let's do number 5 now. It looks a lot like number 4. I'm assuming the steps are going to be similar. All right, so Silas, on number 5, what can I change out 1 plus tangent squared into?
1 plus tangent squared.
So it should be a formula. Look on your formula sheet and find the one that says 1 plus tangent squared. Here it is. It says tangent squared plus 1.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to write secant squared up top, and we're going to write tangent squared on bottom. Yeah, I really think this one's a lot like the first one. All right, now, Michaela, just like on number 4, what do I want to change secant squared into? I just showed you a minute ago.
1 over cosine squared.
Yeah, 1 over cosine squared. What do we change tangent squared into, Silas?
Do I know?
Secant squared is 1 over cosine squared. What's,
tangent is.
hold on, let's let Silas find it. It's his first day.
So your cosine.
So remember, Silas, this is what I just showed you. If tangent x equals sine over cosine, then what's tangent squared going to equal?
Oh, it's just be the same.
Yeah, same thing. Sine squared over cosine squared. Don't forget that. All right, Connor, what's our step from here?
Flip the bottom.
Flip the bottom. We got to do keep, change, flip. Silas, see if you can finish it out. All right, 6. Guys, the hardest one on the front is number 7. I think everything else, we've done enough of everything else. Y'all should be able to do it. Bridget, you okay back there today? All right, so Silas, we got to do keep, change, flip. So I flip this one and this one. All right, so what we do now is start crossing out, Silas. I can cross out cosines. Now look, my answer is 1 on top and sine squared on the bottom. So when you start looking at your formula sheet, you see what I can change that into. 1 over sine is cosecant, so 1 over sine squared is cosecant squared.
How did,
All right, good. Question about this one.
Okay, I did get that one.
Good.
I'm just stuck on number 6.
Yeah,
What we do with 1 plus
no,
cosecant
I did.
I'm going to show you.
on there?
All right, can I erase 5? All right, so we agree the first 5 problems are pretty easy, problems we've done all week so far.
Yep.
Now, number 6, guys, is most definitely on the test, and we've only seen about 3 of them this week. So, 1 plus cosine x, cosecant x minus cotangent. This is full method. All right, we've done a couple of these. Now, Connor, before you do full method, you got to look and see if you can change any of these out.
It's cotangent.
These are okay. Whoa.
Not cotangent, cosecant. That's what it said.
I think I copied it right. Check yours.
No, that's right.
It's, you got it right.
Okay. So, Silas, I don't have to change this one. I do have to change these two because they're not sine or cosine. What can I change cosecant into? Look on your sheet. Let's change it out.
Cosecants you can change to, where's that?
Should be at the top.
It's, 1 over sine of x.
Okay, so this one's 1 over sine. What do I change cotangent? I think I know that one. That one's cosine over sine, right?
So you don't have to change it.
Cosine over sine. Okay, so your first step is change everything out that's not cosine or sine. Now, we're going to do full method, guys. We can do full method on this. You guys know the pattern. What do I get when I times 1 by 1 over sine? Yeah, it just stays 1 over sine x. Write it down. All right, Silas, what do I get when I times 1 by cosine over sine? It's going to stay cosine over sine because anytime you multiply something by 1, guys, it doesn't change. All right, now this is the part that normally gets you. What do I get when I times these two together? Let me show you. Silas, that's really cosine over 1. You agree?
I agree.
So what we do, since nothing crosses out, we just multiply straight across. So cosine times 1 gives me cosine on top. 1 times sine gives me sine on bottom. Okay? Last step. I got to times these two. So I times the top by the top and the bottom by the bottom again. What's cosine times cosine going to give me on top? Good. All right, everybody write this down. 1 times sine is sine x on the bottom. Now, Connor, look. Every time I give you a full method problem, every one of these, the middle is going to cancel out. I got a plus cosine over sine and a minus cosine over sine. If your middle does not cancel out, Silas, you probably did something
You
wrong.
flip or something.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Everybody good so far?
No.
So then you get 1 over cosine squared.
On top over sine x. This is the next part we got to discuss. I don't know how much you watch us do these this week. All right, everybody good? All right, so look, since these canceled out, all right, Silas, I now have 1 over sine x minus cosine squared over sine x. And this is the hardest part. We've got to find a common denominator. Anytime you got a plus or minus in between your fractions, you got to find a common denominator. Now, Silas, the good thing about this one is they already have a common denominator. They got the same thing on the bottom already. So I bring sine x down on the bottom, and I just combine the top into 1 minus cosine squared. Now, Connor, that's got to be a formula. Find it for us. 1 minus cosine squared. It's got to turn into something else. 1 minus cosine squared. I think you looked at the wrong one.
Turns into sine squared.
Where?
Top right.
1 minus cosine squared right here. So it turns into sine squared. All right, Silas, do you see that on the top row where I can turn that into sine squared? We just got to get used to, guys. Anytime y'all see 1 plus something or 1 minus something, it's probably going to be a formula. So that sine squared, the last step should be easy. 2 sines on top and 1 sine on the bottom. I mark out 1 sine on the bottom, 1 of the sines on top. My answer is sine x. All right, so that's definitely been the hardest one so far. Whoa, 14 minutes. Let's go a little long. I'll get another. All right, so if y'all miss that one, I can understand y'all missing that one, but y'all gonna have that one on the test.
Why is that number 7?
Let's see, 7. Let's skip 7. Is 7 easy? Have you tried it?
Is there gonna be one
Actually,
that's
comment down and use it.
Let's do 7 then. Guys, I'm making my video. I only got time for one more problem on the video, so let's go to 8. I don't want to put 7 on the video.
Is there gonna be one like that on the test?
That's what I'm not sure about. I'll have to check. But I know there's one like this on the test.
You have to change sign or stay the same.
All right, on number 8. All right, Connor, all we got to change is anything that's not a cosine or a sine. So these two are good. I just got to change this
1 over 7.
1 over sine. All right, so this, I erase, I put 1 over sine. Silas, you stop me if you got a question now. We've been doing this for 3 days. Test is Friday.
This is odd.
All right, now guys, this one's not going to be bad at all. All right, Connor, I got to distribute. What do I get when I times these two?
Sine or sine
Yeah, you get sine over sine. Hold on, look. If it's on top and one's on bottom, you can cancel them out. You just got one.
Everything I had just crossed out.
All right, now, hold on. You can't cross these two out when you times them.
Sine squared.
It's sine squared. Now, Connor, that should be a formula. We should be
What
done.
about that 1 over sine?
It's 10.
All right, hold up. Blake's going back to Blake. This sign can cancel out with that sign because it's multiplying between them. So I canceled those out and just had 1. Or Blake, if you want to think about it another way, watch this. Sine times 1 gives me sine on top and sine on bottom. Isn't that going to be 1 anyway? Okay, that's how I got 1.
So now the 1 will cross out too, right?
Yeah, but like I told you, even if the 1's cross out, if everything cancels out, it's still 1. Because, isn't there an understood 1 in front of that sign? Yep. So if everything cancels out, it's still 1. Now over here, Blake, these two can't cancel because they're both on top in the fractions. Sine times sine is sine squared. Silas, look at your formula sheet. What's 1 minus sine squared turn into?
1 minus sine squared.
Should be on the top row somewhere. Cosine squared. All right, so Silas, when you get it down to one word, we're good. All right, 16 minutes on my